Andrew, I'm
Yes.
asking you because I feel like actually Paisley might have. Have either of you read the autobiography of Nikolai Tesla?
No.
No,
No. Why?
I just have it. It's Wyatt's. But he asked me to ask you if
Oh,
y'all
no.
read it.
I have not.
And I know since Andrew's in a lot of books, reading books lately.
Yes.
Yes, Andrew's in books. He's written himself into books.
Yes.
He takes out the main character and replaces it with his name.
The Adventures of Drew Sawyer and Huckleberry Drew.
Exactly. It's all about me.
He's the villain, the hero. He's everything.
That's one way to live.
Drew Baggins and Sam Drew Gamgee.
Oh, and you're recording this. Wonderful.
Drew Fossa.
Drew Foss.
Drew
Yeah.
Ladden.
Drew Ladd. That's a new
What
one.
would you call him for just the genie? The Drew?
Drew Weenie.
I don't know. Drew Fossa is still the best. I'm trying to think of others now. Gandrew. Gandrew the White. Whoa.
Well, now you're getting a little too close to hot topics there, but
Okay, how about this? Gandrew the Bald.
hey, I could slap you for that.
How about this? You slap me for it, I'll just polish your head. How about that?
Welcome back, everyone, to this week's episode of Galactic Reviews. We are talking about the new movie that came out in theaters within the past month, I believe. Everything, Everywhere, All at Once. It has some up-and-coming actors and some beloved childhood returning actors. It is a very weird, wonky, wibbly-wobbly, timey-wimey stuff movie, but it is on the topic of everyone's favorite topic right now, multiverses. Wonderful. It follows this lady, Evelyn, who owns a laundromat and just is not in a good position in life, is not very happy with her life at the moment. And she all of a sudden gets thrown into this multi-dimensional conflict. She is supposedly the hero who is supposed to defeat the villain and save the multiverse. But it's super wacky, and it has very strong messages of kindness and family bonds and doing what's right. And it is an A24 film, and it is made very well. What did you all think? It's very hard to give this one a synopsis.
Zach, you want to go?
I'll let you go first. I usually go first in these scenarios.
Nah, you usually go first. Why break tradition?
Don't bro.
Because I can expect your outcome, and I feel like I need a little bit of light to the world you're about to speak.
Say what? You cut in and out.
No,
You cut in
internet,
and out
hold on,
harder than a
wait.
Led Zeppelin album.
That's aggressive. I said you can go ahead and go first because I feel like I need to give the movie a little bit more light and joy than what you're about to destroy.
Oh no.
Yeah, didn't like it. One of the movies where I was like, all right, in the moment where in the blooper reel where Zach is high and me and him both go watch this movie, we're gonna get about the exact same outcome. That's how I felt this movie was. Like,
Wait, what? I'm confused where I fit into this conversation. I wasn't that paying attention that closely.
why do I
Hey,
have
don't
to
worry
explain
about
everything to you in baby talk? That's the thing.
Look, I don't have an answer, but I appreciate it. It could be because I'm illiterate, but Anyways, continue.
I just didn't like it. And I'm trying to remember it because I also went yesterday and watched Ambulance, and that was good. And I'm remembering more of that than I am of this. Yeah, I just didn't like it. It wasn't explained well in the beginning. I think it didn't get to about maybe like an hour in until you kind of understood what was going on. And it's an interesting concept. I just don't think it was handled well or in the right way. Lots of things they just glossed over, didn't quite go over well. A lot of vulgarity, more vulgarity than I was thinking there was going to be in this movie, with a lot of things being sexual references or just sexual stuff being, I'll save that for spoiler stuff, but hopefully that gets the point across on this movie. I'm assuming it's rated R, so I didn't even notice that, but I didn't think it was going to go that hard into the R rating, but it did. Some points didn't seem realistic when they tried to add some bits of realism into it. I mean, that could just be me. Judging by Andrew's reaction, it was just me.
Well, I'm wanting to ask like what bits, but I feel like that would be spoilers. So
It,
we'll
it, it
ask
would.
about that.
It would.
I'll ask about that in the
It
It was
next.
would.
it was
'Cause-
the initial statement of it wasn't realistic when talking about a movie about the multiverses, and then you finished your entire statement.
Well, no, what I'm saying is they try to add a sense of realism and they didn't make it as coherent, if that makes sense. I'm just trying to stay somewhat consistent, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
So
without giving too much spoilers.
it's just not something that that me personally, I didn't enjoy. So
Hmm.
I get it has a market, it has a audience, and I believe the two of you, from your reaction to my stuff, are part of that audience. It's just I was not.
It's fair.
What would
Um,
you rate the movie overall?
I'm probably gonna give it a 3, just because overall the concept was good, as like multiverse and stuff, and the whole concept of connecting the brain and the cerebral cortex, the way that I believe it's the way that the brain waves are, a person's brainwaves are, and connecting that with
Mhm.
their other self in another universe where they didn't make the exact same decisions. I thought that was an interesting concept, as in a sense of multiversal travel, I guess. However, yeah, just some parts of it I had questions about and they didn't quite answer it. It's just me thinking things through to where I was just like, why didn't this apply here? What happens in this scenario? What happens to the other person who place was taken
Mhm.
somewhat over, especially when they jumped? That was just questions I had. Also, didn't really care for the antagonist. No offense to the antagonist, but thought it was boring. Thought the fight scenes were horrible. Yeah, I think that's all I've got for now. So 2.5 to 3, roughly the range I'm thinking. Great to
All
see
right.
Short Round and Mr. Ping. That was the only saving grace of this. Some of the actors, especially Short Round and Mr. Ping, I thought they did really good. I think the main protagonist did good in most areas that she was given. Dialogue, I guess, and where she acted, I thought she did decently fine. Didn't have a problem with her. This wasn't a movie for me, I guess. So
Understandable.
that
Understandable.
makes sense.
I, on the other hand, enjoyed the later half of the movie. The first half was kind of confusing for the most part. I just didn't understand where the plot was going, much of anything for it, didn't really care for it. But once we finished up the first 45 minutes to an hour, I enjoyed the rest of the movie. I thought there were a lot of funny parts. I enjoyed the innuendos, unlike Payson apparently.
You talking about?
I
Never
mean,
mind. I'll just let you go.
just remembering like being a child and seeing these things done or said and looking back on it and I'm like, oh, I remember when I was in like middle school and hearing this for the first time or seeing this, blah blah blah, and remembering that. Thought it was funny and weird how they brought it in to the movie. But yeah, it only started to pick up after part one ended. I understand part one was just mostly there for getting you into the movie, but it was just a really slow progression for the first like 30, 40 minutes. And I think that's what really disappointed me about it. But other than that, I enjoyed the movie. I would give this a 6.5, mostly for the comedy aspect. But other than that, I don't know if I would watch this again anytime soon. It's one of those movies that like Morbius, it's kind of just a one and done. After that, I can sit through it, but it's not something I'm going to go out of my way to watch. The overall concept of the movie, I enjoyed. I enjoyed the aspects of saying that the reason her life is the way it is now is that she chose all the wrong decisions. So she's living her worst possible life. And I'm like, that's really sad and really funny at the
And
same
you can
time.
really relate to that, can't you?
I abstain from answering your questions, Your Honor. That caught me off guard. It was good. I enjoyed seeing the different possibilities. Her life, and it's not just hers, it's everyone's. One choice can definitely change the outcome of someone's life. And I enjoyed seeing that aspect of this movie. I thought that was a fun, cool twist, but that's kind of the whole purpose of the multiverse. And it was a good explanation to the multiverse. So I think they did a really good job with that aspect. But that's pretty much all I have without getting into spoilers. I thought it was a okay, good movie, mostly for the comedy and the laughs it had throughout the movie. And that was about it.
Is that my turn? Is that my cue?
That is your cue. I wasn't sure if I was supposed to say, and Drew, what do you think about this?
So if I had to make a list of my favorite movies, this one would 100% make it into the top 50, and it would
Okay.
be a runner for the top 10. I would give
Okay.
this a solid 9. I don't know. I'm very partial to A24. Last night I was watching and I said they never miss. Then I went, oh well, Green Knight.
They have a 95% chance of not missing.
Yeah, just right off the bat, I would give this a 9. I'm trying to think of the other movies that I've rated highly, and I would rate this more highly, but I don't ever give 10s. I'd give this an 8, a 9. Beautifully directed. The acting was very good, especially with people playing more than one version of themselves. The undertones and the underlying messages weren't in your face, but it was powerfully delivered. I thought the choreography and the fight scenes were very imaginative and some of the best I've seen in a long time.
I will only say the only fight scene I didn't enjoy was probably the last one, and that was only because of certain sections of the fight.
One section of the fight.
Specifically, yes.
I understand that. Casey, you don't watch a lot of rated R movies, do you?
Not really.
This was a tame rated R movie.
I mean, Ambulance was rated R, but it wasn't.
That was for like a different, but yeah.
Yeah, this one was decently tame. As in, we did not get any full frontal nudity, sex scenes, or
Well, that
massive.
explains why it's not a 10 for you and why it's not higher for Zach.
Fair. Yeah, I thought it was. I can understand the opinion on the slow pacing in the beginning. It definitely doesn't pick up, but I appreciated the look at her life before everything happened, and I understandably how much she wanted to get out of that life. I would love to see this movie again, and I probably will. This movie, I would definitely say, is Oscar nomination worthy. I think there's, depending on what else comes out in the year, there's a good chance it can make it to next year's awards. So far, I have the Batman and this movie.
Well, we're about to have 2 big movies drop.
But I think the Batman and everything everywhere all at once are strong Oscar nomination contenders.
Are you waiting for me or Payson?
Zach,
Me?
yeah, it's your movie next.
Well, I'll just choose an older movie. I let Wyatt choose the movie for me this week.
Why didn't you tell me we were gonna watch a Barbie movie?
I didn't want to spoil it, okay? Gonna be watching what is most commonly said as one of Matthew McConaughey's worst movies. It's a mix between Indiana Jones and National Treasure. It's a comedy version of like Indiana Jones, I suppose is the closest thing you could say to it. More on
What's
the
it called?
side. It's a horror, but yeah, no, that's the movie we're gonna see. So stay tuned for that. And now off to the next video, which will be our spoiler version of Everything Everywhere's All at Once.